Welcome to Moto Talk. We're talking US Sprint Enduro today. And if you don't know, you better go find out because it's one of the coolest formats in off-road racing. We have Billy Schlag, the promoter, the founder of US Sprint Enduro, and Pro 2 champion from 2022, Phoenix Honda's Cody Barnes on Moto Talk today. But what is the Sprint Enduro? For everyone who's not familiar with it, it's literally one of the coolest formats in off-road. It's a great crossover for the moto guys, the woods guys, whatever background you come from. You're going to enjoy the intensity and the racing format, from a novice rider up to a pro rider. Billy comes from a moto background, so he knows really how to play the tracks out, and he's an amazing ambassador of the sport and this racing format.
Hey, how's it going, Carl? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're pumped for this season. Tell me a little bit about the series and how it got going.
Well, so Sprint Enduro, it really came to this country back in 2014. And I started competing in Sprint Enduro myself and fell in love with it right away. Actually, when I first heard of the description of it, I was like, man, that's right up my alley, coming from a moto background, not always being in the greatest shape. It's good for a vet rider like myself. Been competing in it since 2014. And it came from originated really from the ISDE series, the International 6-Day Enduro. And so what we do is we offer the special tests that you see at the ISDE event, and we take away the transfer sections. So all that extra mileage, we just place the focus on the speed and the ability to get through the course fast.
Tell me a little bit about the format and how that works with racing on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so when you come to a US Sprint Enduro, you will have on Saturday morning, the youth riders go from 8 to 11. And what they will do, they'll start off on the cross test first and run it about a 4 to 4.5 mile, usually a 4 to 4.5 mile test for the cross test. And a cross test is mostly in open terrain. If we have a moto track, we run not necessarily the exact following of the motocross track, but we run a course that goes out on the motocross track. And we had a few of the jumps that are maybe not, or I'd say more mellow jumps.
So a vet rider can come out there. They don't need to worry about some big triple on the motocross track that they know that motocross track has. And
right.
But there are still some fun sections where you can get some air and really, and throw some big whips, which the fans always love.
So yeah, if we have a moto track, that's what we do. It's always super fun and flowy though. And like I said, coming from a moto background, I have that feel in the courses that I lay out. So I definitely like that part of it. So, but we do understand that not everyone has moto stiff suspension, right? A lot of guys come from the woods background, so they'll have wood suspension. So I don't want to put a big giant triple in the track that everyone feels like they have to air out and coming up short on it and all that. So so we don't normally put the big jump that has the hard hit in it, so to speak. So pro rider is normally around 6 minutes for the pro riders. So so it's all out, you don't leave anything on the track. You give it everything you got every time you're on the track. That's the exciting thing about watching Cody, a rider like Cody. It's great for spectators to see a pro rider like him. He's out there hanging it out, super fast and awesome to watch ride. So yeah, so that's the cross test for at a moto track. But when we go to like a farm, we normally just have a big grass track. And it's more like an old school European GP type feel and layout to it. It's all through the grass hills and everything. So we normally get about a 4.5 mile test out of the cross test when we go to a farm or something like that. So, and then when you do your cross test, and then 30 minutes later you go out in the enduro test. The enduro test is primarily in the trees. You're going to see mostly trees when you're on that enduro test. And it's normally right about 3 miles, maybe a hair over 3 miles.
What I really love about the sprint enduros is the time on the track and the amount of riding I get while I'm there. We get to go do a hard race, and I'm 38 years old. I don't want to really be out there for 2 hours, but I can go out there and do an 8-minute sprint and come back and have some water and go back out and have some fun. So if you ever see me out there, Billy, I got a big smile on my face. I'm running around talking to all the kids, and usually with a camera too, trying to get some fun clips. We got a special guest on here, Pro 2 champion, Phoenix Honda's Cody Barnes. Cody, how's it going? Congrats on your 2022 championship.
Thanks for having me first off. And yeah, I mean, my season went really good at Billy's series. Being able to win every single event in Pro 2 and wrap up the championship in Pro 2 was like awesome. It was my first pro level championship at a national level. And yeah, I mean, Billy does a great job. His whole entire crew does a great job setting up these courses and running the series. I don't think there was really one race where Billy and his crew was running behind, or it's always done in a neat and orderly fashion. So like it's really good. They listen to us riders. If there's anything that we feel that's unsafe or anything like that, Billy does a great job listening to us and using our input, which it's hard for a lot of series to do. There's so many different pros, but Billy tries to do his best and like listens to all of us and takes all of our inputs. So no, I mean, the series is a ton of fun. Like I think everyone should go experience like and race a sprint enduro. It's one of the most fun racing series that I personally do. And yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to running his series again this year.
So Cody, where are you from?
So originally I grew up in Illinois. Sterling, Illinois was my hometown, and now I spend a lot of my time in South Carolina, North Carolina area is where I stay like the majority now.
So you got the cross test, grass track or motocross style track-ish GP, and then you got the enduro, the woods, the dicing through the trees. Which one do you like the best?
Yeah, I mean, both of them are awesome. Like I said, Billy does a great job setting up both courses. And it's a hard call. I mean, there's been tracks that I've really liked the cross tests, and there's been tracks where I've really liked the woods test, and not been fans of the cross test. So and not anything to do with like Billy or how he sets it up, but it might be like conditions, like Boswell Farms this year, I believe is what the event was. And like woods were good, was like doing pretty good in the woods, and could not figure out the cross test for like the life of me. Like I think I crashed like 5 times that weekend in the cross test, like just sliding out. It was a slick like grass field. Like so it kind of just depends on like the event. Like the very first round this year that we're going to south of the border, like I really liked both tests that Billy had there, the enduro and cross test. I think for me, south of the border was my favorite round this past season for me. So I'm really looking forward to going back there. And there's a lot of other venues that Billy has that I think is going to be like I enjoy going to. So I would say overall, I kind of have more fun with the cross test, like especially like south of the border. Like Billy does a good job with throwing in like a good mix between like the jumps and the motocross vibe, and then like you also get some like pretty technical like grass track areas where you have to set up multiple corners, and you have to really make sure that you're on your game in them and set up everything right. So yeah, I couldn't say if I like one more than the other. I think it kind of just depends. Like it
all depends on kind of how you're flowing that day.
Yeah.
The motocross track, cross track was more kind of I forget which one, but big grassy hills. And I actually blew off the track a few times. You're charging these sections, and you find yourself just blowing through the banner. Have you ever had one of those instances?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard that very first time out when you're sprinting in the cross test, like you're charging so hard and you kind of don't know like the braking times. Like, they're after the first test, you kind of figure out where you need a brake, if you can charge harder into a corner or something. But there's also like that first time out, like I'm pretty sure same exact one kind of was a slick grass track coming in, like hit a bump, bike kind of got unsettled, and like you lock up the back brakes and you're just sliding straight through the banners. So, and but yeah, it's tricky. I mean, it's hard to just go out, of the gate and sprint and see the limit of the track. So I think like with the whole Sprint Enduro series, it's helped me in my sprinting, getting comfortable. Uh, for reference, like at the GNCC, like XC2, like soon as we start, it's like a sprint for us, like a 3 hour sprint pretty much. And like you have to be ready that first lap to sprint. And I think the US Sprint Enduros have kind of helped me kind of manage that gap, get a little better at, right off the bat, like going for it and kind of being able to, it's definitely helped me a lot on like reading the tracks as far as, looking ahead in the corners. So to make sure that you're set up correctly. And, for me, I kind of like it's helped me a lot with like my positioning on the bike, like getting up front on the bike, like elbows up in the corners, because you really do realize how big of a difference that has in those flat sweeping corners, and how like much more control you have of the bike when you your elbows up gripping the bike on the front of the bike. So it's played a pretty big factor into like my racing and my form on the bike and in a lot of areas.
So you're kind of coaching yourself. That's how I kind of feel out there. Do you start to get faster times throughout the
Uh
weekend?
yeah, I would say that like we definitely, I believe like a lot of them on average we dropped our times, like especially the second cross test out or the second enduro test out, than the first one. And I think that's just a lot to do with you get familiar with the track, like I said, and you find the limits of the cross test, the enduro test. And you don't want to go out, we have 12 tests. You don't want to go out in that first test and, have a bad crash or crash and drop, 20 seconds, from a crash, where you can kind of ride that test at a fast pace, kind of play it a little safe. And say you get beat by 4 seconds or something, you have a rough idea. You're like, I didn't hang it out. I'm a lot familiar with, like, I'm a lot more familiar with the track, but at the same time, like, then you got to make up that 4 seconds. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like you can go out and you can pin it that first time and nothing happens, but you can go out and pin it and have a crash and lose even more seconds. So yeah, I think a lot, like we look at the tracks a lot and we try and find like if there's anything that we think could catch us off guard or anything like that. But for the most part, Billy does a really good job at making sure that like there's nothing, like, I mean, we're on dirt bikes, so it's a dangerous sport, but he does a very good job at making sure like there's no unnecessary risks, or if there's something in the trail like a stump or something, like they do a very good job at making it known, like either with spray paint or arrowing it with danger arrows and stuff. So I think that they do a very good job at that and kind of taking out that added risk for us. And then like if there's something that like as we're pedaling it and like you get to see everything, so you're kind of aware of the stuff that's out there that could potentially bite you.
There's a lot of kids listening, and you mentioned crash, and you maybe lose 4 seconds or even longer if you stall it, or who knows, you put your hand in the mud and you got to scrape it off. What do you have some advice on how to make up some of that time? I mean, I need to know it too.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just, I mean, you have a limit, and sometimes, like, at the sprint enduros, it's very easy to ride over your head. Like, just going out there and just trying to pin it as fast as you can. And, that's when you you're overshooting corners or you're rushing the corners and you're not taking your time, when a lot of the times, like, it's a sprint enduro, you got to go fast. We're racing, you're trying to go as fast as you can, but sometimes it's a little bit better to not rush the things, like especially on the cross test. Billy does a pretty good job where you have to, you can set up 3 or 4 corners by setting one up, before those first 3 corners. Which, whether it be sweeping outside early on the one to cutting inside so you can straighten things out more instead of, hitting the outsides every single time. So Billy does a pretty good job at that. Like, you have to kind of be on your marks and setting stuff up. And I'd say for like kids and, anyone really, like, it's hard to make up time, but I think if you can limit your mistakes, that's a big thing. Like I said, overriding at sprint enduros is so easy to do. You get frustrated because, this person beats you 2 seconds in this test, or you have a fall and someone beats you, and it's so easy to go out in the next test and you're going to prove a point and you're going to, pin it and make up a bunch of time, and then you end up overriding and you tag a tree or you hit something and you just override it, and it's super easy to do. And like, I was a victim of it at one of the rounds in Georgia. Like I said, I think it was Boswell Farms, that like I wasn't riding well in the cross test, kept making mistakes, and like then I'd get frustrated and go out and try and pin it and like just make more mistakes. Like, I'd have a fall and then I'd get up and pin it and try and go as fast as I can. And then I'm overshooting corners, not going where I need to go and stuff. So, yeah, I would say just like anyone really, you got to keep a level head, like, through it all. Cause like, you have tests where you go kill it, and then you can have tests where you don't do too good. And if you let your mood kind of control it, like how you're riding, dude, it can make you, like, it can mess up your whole entire day so fast. So like, I kind of, like, if I have a bad test, like, I just try and, like, almost, like, I know a lot of people use the term like a tear off, like you pull, like you just, like, you tear it and it's a new slate, and like, it's like a new test and everything. I just try and go into like every test like with a, like, just like it's a new test, like it's a new start, you get another chance at it. So I would just say, yeah, the main thing is like not overriding, because you can make so many, like, overriding can hurt you more than like hitting your marks and making sure that you're doing things properly and setting corners up and things like that.
I'm making mistakes. You're making mistakes. The guy that beats me in the test, he's making mistakes too. Sometimes, what I've learned, you almost need to slow down a little bit to go faster. There's 6 tests on Saturday and 6 on Sunday. So you can guarantee the guy you're battling with is making one mistake, in one of them. It's just a battle of the mistakes at that point. So staying smooth, being consistent, hitting your marks, learning the track. Tell me about your day, Cody. What's your day like in the morning? You're getting ready and then leading up to that first test.
Yeah, so like while the little kids are racing, we try and do, like, with the tracks being shorter, like you mentioned earlier, it's a lot easier for us to like e-bike the tracks. Like, we're not out there in the way of them. Like, if they're on the enduro track, we can bike the cross test in the time that, while they're doing the enduro track, and vice versa. So really for me, like, we get there semi early, probably, like, they usually are starting like the first test when I get there, and I'll get my e-bike out and go bike like the cross test, enduro test. And sometimes if there's something that like I'm still unsure about in the enduro test, I'll kind of go and like or even cross test, I'll go and I'll watch like a couple minis go through it, many like youth riders go through it, and kind of like still feel out what I'm thinking. And like I said, if there's anything else major I want to look at again, like I'll go look at it. And then kind of just like, I'm pretty, like, at sprint enduros, I'm pretty like chilled out for the most part. Like, it's not there's kind of never like any rush at them. Like I said, Billy does a good job keeping all of his stuff on time. And like,
Once the day gets rolling, you kind of know, how exactly how much time you have real quick between sessions. whether you're parked out in the further part of the pits, or you're parked right up by the staging area. You can usually hear the announcements, or you pick up on another rider. Okay, they're heading up. I'm going to head up in a little bit, and really see the track. Like you said, go if you're having a questionable section, you can easily get to that section and look at it. So even between Saturday and Sunday's racing, the track changes. Some sections might get more rough. Some might get some really good lines. So it could be a completely different track on Sunday compared to Saturday. Cody, you go back out there, you have some consistent runs all season long, and we see that Phoenix Honda up there. I know you put on a great show for the fans. I see you with all the kids, and they like to see you out there, and I know I like to watch you out there. I'm out there, scoping out some of your lines. So I know you're excited. Good luck this year. So we have the 2023 season starts January 28th. Really cool place. A lot of people are familiar with, south of the border. A lot of pros, supercross guys train there. And I think there's some top off-road guys training there right now too. So looking to see some big names and some really good racing this year.
Yeah, so we're 8 rounds for US Sprint Enduro. So in the first round is the 28th, 29th at SOB MX. And that's also our awards dinner is Friday evening leading into that for the 22 season. But then our second round is a new venue on the south side of Augusta, Georgia. That's going to be an interesting place. That's going to be a lot different than what the guys have seen before. So it's a bit of a surprise for that one. A lot of Virgin Trail is going to be at that, and there's going to be a big sand pit involved in it, and so it's going to be really neat. Then we go up to the Carolina Adventure World, which is in the center of South Carolina, and that's a big property. I have a lot of room to work with there. So we do our 3-day ISDE qualifier at that round. So if you want to participate in the 3-day portion, you have the option to stay for Monday and compete on Monday. But otherwise, the Saturday and Sunday option is the same as normal when you go to a regular US Sprint Enduro event. So looking forward to that. We're going to have some things that are going to change it up a little bit for the Monday portion of that event to kind of have a closer simulation to an ISDE event. So that'll be really neat. Then our fourth round is another new venue is Virginia International Raceway, which is on the North Carolina Virginia line. It's a car track. So it's a really neat facility. A lot of good things there to use. Gas station on site, and there's lodging there, and it's a real pretty property. Really awesome. River runs through it. Really cool. Again, and not a lot of ground to use there at our disposal. So looking forward to getting in there and getting a good course there. And then our fifth round, we move up into the center of Virginia. And it's a property that's hasn't had any racing on it whatsoever. And it's a big 1,200 acre farm. And it's, again, another one that's on the river. And that's going to be quite possibly the most epic cross test I've ever seen is going to be that round. Round 5 is going to be incredible. The dirt is amazing. The big rolling grass hills for the cross test. Virgin woods to work with. So a lot of good opportunity there for a good enduro test. Then we move up to the Panhandle of Western Maryland, and it's at a new motocross track that just opened back in July. And we had a GP race there. We in our other series, SXCS, we ran a GP race there, and awesome property. Another one that's on the river, and they have a lot of big things in store. They're in the process of building cabins there, and they have I think they're putting in like 40 or 50 full hookup spots for RV camping. A lot of good opportunity there for things, good riding there. It's a pretty large property as well. And so then we'll go up to High Voltage, which was one of the best cross tests we've ever had last year when we were there at Memorial Day weekend. And so we'll be back there again, and which is as well. So that's our seventh round. And then we'll be back there for the Sprint Enduro World Championship on Labor Day. And that event will be a 3-day event. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but while we're talking about high voltage, just want to talk about how awesome that place is. A big, awesome property. I mean, it's so big that we could have 3 separate events there if we wanted to. So we'll have, and for those 2 events, we'll have obviously totally separate new courses. So, but then we'll wrap up the 8-round series for US Sprint Enduro at Harleywood, a place that we've been to before. And we love going to Harleywood. Technical cross test there, a lot of off camber corners. It's on the side of a mountain there for those that haven't been. It's that grass test is awesome. And then the woods, just a lot of challenging elevation changes and stuff in the woods there for Harleywood. And and so that'll be a wrap on our 8-round series. We run from the end of January to Father's Day weekend, which is in the middle of June. So it's a pretty condensed time that we have our series. And then we'll, like I said, then we'll be at for Sprint Enduro World Championship. We'll be back at High Voltage for that event, which is to qualify for that event. You will automatically qualify for that event if you get in the top 5 of US Sprint Enduro points for the year. Otherwise, you can submit a letter for acceptance for that event.
Awesome. I'm excited. Couple weeks. So I'm hitting the gym. I'm sure Cody's hitting the gym. All the youth racers, I see some of them on social media. They're talking about US Sprint Enduro. Everyone's getting hyped up. So looking forward to seeing everyone. I know a lot of people are going to be chasing those top 5 points to get invited to the World Championships, and looking forward to seeing everyone out there, everyone having fun, staying safe, and doing what they love. So thanks, guys. Cody, thanks for hopping on with us. Good luck this season. Billy, looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. I know you got a lot of work to do, so I'll let you get back out there.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. See you, Cody.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. So we'll see you guys at the first round.